Welcome back, guys. We are here for game number 4 of the Sharks versus VSG. Kuzan, man of the night so far, has played very, very well in 2 games in a row. That's immediately why we put that camera onto him. But another thing to highlight is that Mighty Bear, who did not look fantastic in the last one, is going to be coming out, and Ryan will once again be sitting in the jungler seat, as well as Ruby coming back in here to sub out Ren.
So we are back to game 1 configuration. We are also back to the squad that reverse swept APK Prince. So 2 games in a row. That is what is required from VSG. Otherwise, they will be going back to challengers, and who knows how many of the 10-man roster will even remain on that roster for summer. There could always be changes. People are always eyeing up talent around the Rift. What are we going to be eyeing up for game number 4? Well, there is one change. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice that for the first time this series, we've got a swapsies. ES Sharks will be on the red side, and VSG, with their last remaining side selection, choose blue.
Well, it's not going to be the Moo and Minute you were calling for, but it is going to be blue side at least. So you got half of the story here correct, Papa Smithy. And also you'll notice the Galio is going to be banned out. They had to deal with that twice in a row. They say, well, GuGer was just too good at that champion. Set up a lot of kills down on the bottom side. Also just plays with his heroic entrance, really helping out the team.
The team's going to play with Rise being left open, because Rise has been pretty close to permaban status ever since we saw Linderong just blow up kids on the first day of the promotion tournament in this particular series. So, VSG final ban on blue side. Lucian has also been very high priority, as we know. So far, the junglers have both been left open. By the junglers, I mean the Rek'Sai versus Jarvan Resident Sleeper. It seems like that will continue, and the Rise is banned on blue.
Yeah, no Rise today. And Silas, you have to imagine, will be banned. They waited until the last one. But LeBlanc is just going to be picked immediately, saying, come at me, Kuzan. I'm ready to take your pick and shut you down.
Corki could be a very real choice from Kuzan into this. Go X-Drinker and try to grin and bear it. That would be the one I think of. Vladimir would be a bit daring, but you could try. Just thinking of the Kuzan champions and what you can lock in against this LeBlanc. You could also play Lucian into it if you really wanted to. The Rek'Sai side of the matchup is going to be preferred by Catch. Do we first round a mid laner into LeBlanc? Given that LeBlanc's ambiguity is minimal, the option is there.
You mean no support LeBlanc in this game?
You know, probably not. And the Flandre top lane at Triforce Infinity Edge LeBlanc, probably not going to happen either. He won multiple pro games.
I don't even want to know.
He won multiple pro games going Shiv, i.e. Triforce LeBlanc on Snake. It happened. I watched them. They were great.
I guess you have a lot of mobility.
You do. And it's more possible now than it was before because IE's back to being in the wheelhouse there. So,
true.
If you want to lose some solo queue games, there's an idea, says Papa. As in this particular draft, VSG backs against the wall. Varus Tom Kench would be ultra obvious here. And they'll probably just take it.
Well, there's Varus. You guys all know what's coming next.
Jarvan.
Tryndamere.
We've named 3 champions. I think one of the 3 will be included.
I have high odds on Tryndamere here. Don't at me. I mean, they're both green, right? So.
I mean, you got close. The T part is there.
Okay. I'll take that. You know, I needed something.
Are we going to flex solution to last pick and just run it mid lane? Is something that I'm sure VSG is thinking about. Could just take a support here. You know, could just take the Braum if you wanted to. No real support. You have to go. The Karma is also a Kuzan champion. So, yeah, it's not necessarily one that we love. They're going to take the Braum, but I love showing mid lane Lucian and having a mid lane Lucian player where people are like, wait, that guy plays mid lane Lucian, rather than just, okay, we played it because of a matchup. Because now, the enemy team's like wasting too much mind capital thinking about the possibility of the flex.
Yeah, like, do we ban other AD carries away? What do we want to deny? There is a lot to think about, and, well, the Sharks didn't waste any time thinking about this. No jungle was picked, and you mentioned Jarvan Rek'Sai. the two obvious ones with Olaf gone. But now Jarvan is going to be taken away. They could also ban another jungler if they want to cut down on Ryan's pool.
You just think about in this spot, what jungler do you take now that Jarvan versus Rek'Sai is gone? And you want to know if it's going to be double AD carry, because then someone like FLICKR has someone to die. But if it's just Lucian and a more mobile champion alongside the fairly mobile Lucian, then suddenly jungle FLICKR seems more risky. If you look at the champion pool, Olaf by far the most played. Ryan's most famous pick outside of what he's played is Kayn, but it's not really a spot for Kayn. Usually in pro play in Korea, it's just against Sejuani, and we already know that Rek'Sai's the matchup. So how do you approach this draft? Uh-oh, now he knows double AD carry. So,
that was fast.
Hecarim or Vi could be considered here, and Ryan has played Vi already this season. I would have flexed longer, but they want Jisu to play a Jisu special. I wonder if it's the Kled to give him a shout-out.
And what a way it would be to make it into that final matchup with mid-Lucian and something like a Kled. But they are lacking a lot of magic damage. Ezreal has a bit, but I think like something up there.
Vi or Hecarim is kind of where my mind goes to against this enemy team. They're mobile, but you can get a lot of punishment. Here's another punishment jungler, though. It's a different type. Your engage range requires a lot more time to get there, even through a Predator. It's going to be the Skarner. You definitely have 3 people you're pretty happy to lock onto, and I guess you take Braum if you can get him. Final pick here. This will be for Jisu, most likely into the Aatrox.
Need the magic damage. Kali is going to be a no, and Vlad is going to be locked in, so...
That's
okay.
Is that going to be a top lane Lucian into Aatrox? I think it might be. Kuzan's the Vlad player on this team, Valdez. Wait and see what they want to prefer to do. They'll play around it. Jisu can play it as well, but Kuzan is a career Vladimir player. This is actually not that straightforward a choice. I wonder, because, I mean, Aatrox, remember, healing reduction pretty good against Vlad. It's not free win like it might have been earlier Aatrox power levels, but let's wait and see what the decision here is.
The hands are off the mouse.
They are.
You can't accept a swap. It doesn't look like we're going to have one, as Lucian is going mid again.
So, our original analysis is the correct one. It is a bit team composition over lane for ES Sharks to pick this Vladimir into Aatrox. I would agree that the power level of Aatrox is kind of low enough that it's not like trolling levels of self-counterpick Dade somewhere. It's not giving you the full-on nod, but he's thinking about nodding because it's a tricky lane for the Vladimir.
Yeah.
We'll see how VSG look, because this is a VSG that, you know, kind of has timings they want to be a bit more honest about rather than just hit and hope for the late game.
Like the Skarner pick, you're thinking about something that can dive into the back line and at least force some QSSs to be built by the side here of the ES Sharks. That'll do it.
Mid-Lucian versus LeBlanc, going to be a spicy one to enjoy. We know that he is the master of the LeBlanc and the Lucian, so this is a great time to flex for Kuzan and to get his team one step away from LCK Summer 2019.
This could be the one. We're going to jump into game number 4 right now and see if the Sharks can pull it off, or will VSG defend?
That was something.
Monka Mega in the air. What was that?
Sometimes you just gotta squeal, you know?
They're really happy about that one, about the Sharks doing well.
They should be. They're 2-1 up. They've looked markedly the better team in games number 2 and 3. Braum Rek'Sai, pretty good ability to level 1 invade. Is this vertical jungling? Is this gonna be a camp start? We'll find out that information in a while. For now, at least. VSG are thinking about a re-invade. They have not put any time into counter wars. They started Sweeper. That's actually a pretty fortuitous thing for them.
They let Pure and Ryan lead the charge in here. And SoaR's going to make it up to the top lane on time anyway. So they're not too unhappy about that one. Ruby coming in, scouts them leaving.
Yeah, a lot of value in this ward that was placed at the Pixel Brush earlier. So a bit of gold trading with the 15 golds from the Spires being swapped over. Ryan's pathing should be more predictable. I believe they would have seen the ward placed down. Right now, there's no deep vision because of the sweep. Therefore, SoaR, they're pretty sure are starting bot side, but they won't have exact timings on.
First pick here on the SoaR for Ryan. It's not a super popular one in solo queue or anything like that. You would have to imagine that he's played it a couple of times in scrims, but it's definitely something to think about, you know, how well practiced is Ryan exactly on the SoaR.
It was a really big SoaR buff without necessarily being a huge numbers tuning buff with the Spire change. Captain Flowers tweeted about being involved in and consulted on it. It was a really nice buff that meant a lot, but also isn't felt in how fast he kills you, which I think is a pretty cool thing, because the ability to go different jungle camp starts is big for Ryan. As speaking of Ryan, he's mid lane, but it's SoaR pre-6, so you know. But he comes by. But the fact that you can do Krugs when you start as red side SoaR is really big, because you can go red buff Krugs into the Scuttle. The Krugs is such an important camp, and clearing it fast is underrated because so much experience is loaded into that camp. So that buff actually made SoaR way more relevant without necessarily making the SoaR overpowered.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, SoaR definitely one of those champions that we'd all like to see a little bit more. Very exciting with his ultimate. I think flashing on in there. We all know the Griffin days of the Lantern as well, and those cool plays.
And he fits the traditional archetype of a jungler if you look at the 10-year lifespan of League of Legends, more than Camille and the junglers that have dominated the last couple of years. Because he gets in there, his damage in the early game is pretty decent. He offers very strong engagement CC, in this case single target, compared to, say, some of the other jungle tanks like Zac. But then, eventually, he's kind of a protector, right? And that's what I think a lot of people want the jungle to be, and by a lot of people, I think laners mostly are the people that want that, but
yeah,
there are jungle tank players out there as well. So the fact that a pretty honest champion who just wants to get level 6 fast and does his one thing really, really well is in the meta again, without that champion having like a 780 ratio or something insane, I can't complain.
It definitely feels good. Doesn't feel like an unhealthy buff or anything like that, so excited to see what he can do in this game. As I mentioned before, it's going to force Kuzan to get that QSS a little bit earlier, even though Lucian can be slippery. If you just press R onto him, he's going to basically die with the amount of burst damage that LeBlanc and the rest of them will have. Same goes for Ezreal. We'll have to wait and see when he decides to get his QSS, if he does at all.
Blue buff access in Hex Drinker, you really like the idea of Kuzan. Press the attack ignite, blowing off a LeBlanc. Not often a LeBlanc gets outplayed in a lane trade, but Lucian can make her honest. Top side, speaking of outplays, this matchup's not the best.
Jisu went back in.
He wanted the phase one.
Yeah. Knowing his limits well, but that time around, SoaR definitely got the better of that trade.
That was actually very loud from Rek'Sai.
Was that Rek'Sai? I thought that was... Isn't that SoaR?
Yeah, I looked dead on at SoaR and said Rek'Sai. They clearly hold very different spots in my mind.
Yeah. They also should sound very differently as they do. I don't play a lot of Rek'Sai. I don't actually hear a lot of Rek'Sai noises. And
Squeal's not the right word. She screams a lot.
Okay.
She's mad all the time. Whereas SoaR,
isn't she like a void monster or something? Yeah.
And SoaR is just kind of depressed about his existence. So that's kind of how things go there. Speaking of SoaR, not too much to be depressed about. Soon to be level 6, about 3.5 camps away, judging on the experience bar. That sound, that's the one that I heard yesterday. The sound that during those trades, it sounds like either an Internet Explorer like error message. I feel like that's used in the client when you like misbuy things. I don't know, I can't isolate. I believe it's an Aatrox sound, but I don't know it for sure.
Used in the client when you misbuy things?
Next time I hear it, I'll try and articulate it better. I was talking to Atlas about this.
Maybe you can imitate it for us the next time it happens as well.
It's like a warning sound. That's kind of the only way. I don't have any other words.
Yeah, but how am I going to know what it is unless you make the sound?
Sorry.
I'm waiting.
I was trying to show it
happen.
to my co-caster. Remembered that it was Alex. Didn't have all the reference there. He needs to just calm down. He's really loud. That's new.
He's really angry. Speaking of screaming, it seems like
what life event would you have had to have happen to scream like he's screaming right now? When's Brendan Valdez like this?
I mean,
tax season?
Tax season, yeah. You know me very well from recent times. No, but I mean, anytime I play Korean solo.
That's true. I know you very well from recent times.
It's very, very spot on. Yeah, I mean, if your job was, I don't even know if it's his job. I don't know the lore, but if this was your life, you're just running around fighting stuff that hurts you. It's kind of scary. Speaking of which, Light trying to avoid this one, but he's going to get pulled in, and the damage is easily there. First blood will go the way of VSG.
Well, that was straightforward. R into doom for Light. Not even heal would have saved him there. He was done. All ends up. Use a nice cricket analogy. It's the first blood of the game. The game is being played at Skarner's pace, which is happy news for VSG.
Yeah, they can snowball this into some other nice stuff. A first Drake might go their way, unless Catch has something to say about it.
He does.
Okay, and if he dies, this is going to be really, really sad. As he goes in, misses the smite on a Cloud Drake, and then dies. That's not how you want to be remembered here, Catch.
How would he be remembered now? What do you say in the eulogy? Like that's
how I'm gonna remember him now. He's gonna be that guy who did that.
Well, you know, like his loved ones are crying about the events that just transpired and his death.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention it, but that's what's really what I'm thinking about.
So just sorry for your loss.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, he Catch is dead. Back to life now, but yes, very forgettable first death, and we kind of wondered about the Vladimir. Top is losing. The Skarner has gotten a free jungling phase. Kind of already looking to Kuzan to try to salvage the mid lane. Otherwise, a lot of things go in the way of VSG.
It's definitely nice for them to make some of the changes we were hoping for come out and then have a great start on the backs of one of their carries, Ryan, that we were hoping would come back.
All right, almost heard the chime. That chime.
Is it on his third queue?
I think it's loudest on his third queue. But think of Internet Explorer error messages next time. It'll probably be a future.
Yeah, he didn't use it on screen there.
These are the things I think about in high-octane games like this one. Okay, that's pretty high octane.
Oh, look at that.
That's a lot of damage.
Oh, man. He had to flash that or he was going to die. As Jisu as well, no TP, is certainly being pressured in the top lane.
This is a lot of lane power for the side of VSG. Only mid lane is only going CS for CS, so mid lane's actually doing very fine. Here's the turret dive attempt.
Just gotta wait for the pool unless he has his ultimate come out here, as he will. SoaR trying his best to really punish Jisu for staying.
His flash timing there wasn't the best from SoaR, and with that summoner down, he took 3 turret shots and wasn't able to pick up the kill, so actually ends up being an out trade by Jisu because he gets easier access to minions that before the Aatrox would have been heavily harassing around.
He also missed the cannon, which is kind of sad. Had to mention that one, but either way, I mean, they're still winning the lanes. Bottom lane is doing fantastically. It's really going to be up to Kuzan here. The culling comes out, trying to get that when he flashes in. With the Ignite, not quite going to be able to kill him, and Catch not in range for that ultimate just yet. Skarner. Flash comes on in. Here's Tom Kent as well, trying to punish the Rek'Sai. Yes, he will. An extra kill. Gonna go the way of VSG.
Kuzan seemed to flash in place during that, if I caught it correctly, and then they were outrun by Abyssal Voyage. Another power play moment for VSG. Some of their own creation, some of them just too much boldness from the Sharks. Game 5 wasn't looking as likely before we started, but with how this one has come together, VSG are just kind of beating ES Sharks in every kind of facet of the game.
It's just weird that we can have a best of 5 and game 1 is like, okay, this is kind of even. Game 2, it's like, VSG are not on these guys' level. And then game 4 is like, wait, what happened? Like, is it just blue side is OP or something like that? Because now it looks like the Sharks are not quite on VSG's level, although
how many
Kuzan's play was
this
okay.
Wait. No, it was a late flash. Okay. No worries there. No Teemo problems, but a trade of Summoners no kill, and then Catch walking to the weak side. He thought he was interrupting Herald. Speaking of interrupting.
Not going to interrupt you there, as down he goes. Pretty straightforward. We'll have to see how that one does come through, though. Looks like it was a gank from Catch to make it happen. Didn't even have to use his flash. So.
Nice timing. The ultimate unavailable from SoaR. Jisu picking up not the kill, but an assist is still. A bit more time for the Vladimir. ES Sharks already need their time. If they can subvert one of the next Skarner ganks and Jisu can keep farming up, he's got a carry mindset. He's got a champion that does very well against the enemy. Catch the replay, saw pretty low, and just needed that extra 25 seconds to try to turn this one around.
Straight up. Didn't see him there. And went into the river instead of going back in his lane, so he got caught out and killed. Lots of control now around the bottom side, as it is just the ocean.
With this river control, what you want to do as Varus Tom Kench, we've already seen kind of a sampler the last couple of times, is try to net the turret dive, take the turret, and the Herald should be free as well to plunk down in the mid lane. So a bot lane turret dive was what we thought would be their primary objective. Right now, they're focusing more on growing their gold lead, walking up with the Abyssal Voyage. Maybe even a mid lane turret instead of the bot lane.
Yeah, the Sharks pretty slow to react to this one. They finally come in as Catch is like, oh, I can't just do the Wolves. And down Shelly will go. But it's like 3 turret plates did go the way of VSG in one fell swoop.
So much working on Kuzan's mindset. Triple control ward. Bot lane has been getting what feels like almost 2v2 kills. There's a lot of backup, even though the Lucian matchup is just fine in the 1v1, and now Ryan comes bot lane. They haven't quite taken these 2 turrets, but with the setup and the Abyssal Voyage rotational speed being question marks for ESS to consider, VSG finding a lot of advantages bot side.
Yeah, Ryan's still looking for it here, but...
Wow, have we ever seen this before? 3, 3, and 3.
Wow, there's a lot of gold, too, compared to 0.
Before the Kesper Cup, during the Kesper Cup, we of course had 15 turret plates taken, but we didn't have the overlay. With overlays live, I haven't seen the equal amount of plates, apart from like 0, 0, 0.
Yeah.
So 2
we
plus
actually saw that right now here from the side of the, from the Sharks.
So 3 plates to 0 in every lane, a 3.6k gold lead. Think about how much of that gold lead is just plates, right? That's 1440 gold if my math doesn't fail me. Yeah, 1440 gold worth of turret plates, so yeah, that's 2 kills. Yes, we know about that, but the turret plates are contributing a significant amount of the advantage for VSG.
Nice strike here for their being ahead, and speaking of which, they're really trying to push their advantage once again. TP here on a Veritas, but they're gonna find GuGer down in the bottom side. All alone here is just gonna pay the price as TP does come in. They're thinking about going for this engage. Not quite going to go for the flash engage. And meanwhile, SoaR's like, okay, we'll take the top turret instead. That was a really, really bad teleport from Jisu. We all know what Kobe would have said there. It's after someone's already died. He doesn't have the item. He doesn't even have an item. He doesn't even have a damn proto belt to try to chase. Can't even get in range. And someone had already died. And the minion wave was going to push into his turret. So it wasn't even an answering teleport. It was a proactive one. That is not what you want to see from Jisu, kind of reminiscent of his Scion mishaps the other day. And suddenly, the gold lead is way bigger for VSG. It's kind of what I was saying before, like, game number 2 kind of looked like this for the Sharks, but now it's totally turned on its head as Kuzan has to flash again to get out of harm's way. I'm sure SoaR knows his damage ranges on this Aatrox because he all-in'd and Lucian was at around 1,000 health, so I don't think that was going to work. But Flash is down, flash for flash, all things considered. SoaR chasing on to Catch. You never want to discount
Vladimir late game, but that late game is so far away. And this map, with a rotational advantage with no value out of the Lucian counterpick in mid, feels like almost every single future scenario suits VSG unless you can close your eyes and wake up at 35 minutes as ES Sharks.
And there's just more gold on the map that's slowly filling the coffers of VSG. They get mid, they get bot. Everything's falling basically on the outside here. But we've seen this before. Again, sometimes teams get so far ahead so quickly that you take all the objectives and then you're like, well, what now? We're just gonna push waves into the enemy team and let them farm a bit. They do have this Skarner that has gotten off to a great start and does have the flash, so may look for some picks with that one.
But amusingly, the team more likely to fall into that lull state you're alluding to would have been ESS if they got ahead, because they can only team fight. They could try sieging with 280 carries, but they wouldn't have found too many inroads, that they would kind of be waiting for the second Baron, right, to close out the game. Meanwhile, VSG can push in, they can out-rotate, they have a TP advantage, so if the LeBlanc can answer Lucian, they can get a teleport flank quite easily, not even mentioning the Abyssal Voyage. Feels like VSG have more tricks, and the tricks they're putting out are better, so if it's Magician versus Magician, I'm watching the VSG show in game number 4, and ES Sharks need to really surprise me with some dark magic to get back into this game.
Does feel like that. They're going to be relying on the Vampire for sure. I mean, they do have double AD carry, so there is that. Perhaps if this game did go on for another 10, 15 minutes and somehow VSG weren't able to get picks or they botched something, then maybe, but Kuzan just going to blow his QSS and say, well, take me with you, I'm dead.
Did he QSS nothing? I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Whoops. I guess he was expecting to change the corruption out of vision.
Maybe he tried to use his corrupting pot or something.
Whoopsie. Maybe he tried to blade and then had blade in his usual QSS spot. That's probably what. That was a whoopsie.
Or he just messed it up.
You know, he was dead either way.
Yeah. It was 3 guys. As the sound went there for a minute. Oh, okay.
We're too zoomed out.
Yeah. Too far in the sky, as now Jisu really trying to punish SoaR here. Can't quite get in range. Didn't have that Proto Belt up and available just yet. Oh, that was weird. The E disappeared as mid-devour did happen.
Seems like ES Sharks are likely to disappear in game number 4. This is a really, really standard closeout with more tools from VSG, and the Atlas wallet smack will most likely happen in a 5v5. Kind of need to see one full Needless Large Rod item completed, not the actual Needless Large Rod, the item from Jisu before I'm going to be convinced otherwise. I mean, VSG could make a huge blunder and lose Baron.
That would be really the only way I would see that this game could flip on its head. The bar is 3-0 and 2. You have so many tools to make your win conditions come true. It would definitely be quite the feat. Or should we call it a defeat? I'm just going off of your decanter.
Yes, because this is so the same.
Yeah. You know, you can get a feat, you know, achieve something, or you can get a defeat, which is the
What is
same
the
thing as
opposite
not.
of a feat? A failure?
A defeat. You're not listening, Papa.
In some ways, you're not completely wrong, but a feat is like an act of amazement, let's say. The opposite would be... I'm just trying to think of what the like actual correct word is, rather than a word similar to the opposite. A blunder? Maybe a blunder. I wonder.
I guess so. A blunder? It doesn't really have the same ring, though. Like, a feat is like overcoming this massive challenge or something. You know.
But a blunder's like misplaying your hand kind of level, so maybe you're right. Just thinking about it.
Yeah. You and your big diction.
Gotta talk about something in some of these games. Let's talk about this.
He was thinking about flashing, getting close, but now he's got a TP coming in and catch. There's the flash. He's going to be able to get the kill with that one, so makes it happen. Gets the kill, and did have to burn his flash, but at the end of the day, when nothing else really is going on, they could get the kill and maybe even look at the Baron here as the rest of VSG are moving over to that objective.
It's just another outnumbering big pick, but this would be what they want from it, right? The Baron is only 21 minutes in. When are ES Sharks even going to check it? I don't even know if there's been a blue trinket used. They're going to lose it.
Yeah. Even if they know, it just feels like they're not confident to go in, as now they're finally checking through a million wards as, well, they flew too close to the sun here. SoaR now getting into range, doesn't have his flash this time around, as nice big damage comes out from Light. Is going to kill the clone, but that's about all he can kill in this game. That's now looking for the follow-up. Okay,
here.
Gonna get Ruby, but can they get anything else? Once again, Jisu not quite able to make the flank work.
VSG just got a free Baron and almost flanked themselves, trying to find some people to kill on the back end and show off their nice new purple buff. They're gonna get out with 4 buffs after all. Ruby losing is not ideal. Blue buff picked up by Veritas, and wow, Jisu actually very proactive, trying to find a fix. They're trying to find a map objective before Ruby respawns. Now, if Ruby still had teleport, it'd be a disaster, because then he couldn't actually side lane with the Baron. Because he doesn't, look, it isn't ideal, but they don't lose a 1-3-1 win condition. It's interrupt.
He's gonna flash over this one and tunnel away. Looks like he should be able to get to safety, although SoaR, he's not giving up on this one just yet. Still looking for him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have double dash anymore, so is going to let the Rek'Sai get away once again.
And consider that it's a 9,000 gold lead, a lot. No Infernals, so pretty honest, but 3 QSSs have been built there, so it's more like a 12 and a bit K gold lead, which is too much, too damn much. Baron buff stats should be discussed. So I believe it's what, support and top lane without QSS? We don't have the overlay up, but I believe that's true.
Yeah, I believe you are right, as Veritas going 1v5 over here. Has a little bit of help from his friend, the Skarner. Not much to scream about anymore, as down will go the Vladimir. They really need him to be doing stuff, but he's kind of just getting picked and dying immediately.
SoaR are going to be pushing in bot lane. Baron still a minute and a half, not even just a minute and a half, so a couple of minion waves coming in, backdooring this turret, and you know what, he'll keep fighting for now.
Kuzan is trying so hard to make this happen. The Devour is not going to come through. Veritas, look at him stand up to all of those enemies as Catch. There was only one direction for him to go, and it was to his death. As the rest of him going to get a big redemption into the follow-up Baron push.
And now VSG is pushing through. They've already got 1 inhibitor turret, I believe. Nope, just chunked it out. This should be the first inhibitor turret of the game.
Ruby moving forward, and unfortunately for Jisu, there's not much that he can do alone, especially with the super fed Forest that just shoots him in the face if he gets anywhere near him. So first inhibitor goes down with that Baron push. At least it should be the last here for the Sharks.
Standard, but scarily effective by VSG. Never really had any doubt about ES Sharks in game number 3, and now, as you've already alluded to a couple of times, feels like the nameplates have just been shifted around, and the blue side somehow also means that you play your standard comp just a little bit better. So we have to assume kind of a foregone conclusion that ES Sharks will pick blue side if we get to game number 5. Probably going to be no roster changes either, so will we know before we see early game execution who we should favor? Because VSG have woken up in a big way in game number 4.
I like the tenacity, the ability to go down in 2 straight up embarrassing games and get destroyed by the Sharks 2 in a row, and then come out in game 4 with a clean slate. You know, a couple of members come back and say, you know, let us back in, let us take the reins back. And really got to hand it to them for turning this one around in a big way.
Now, all their players have a lot of experience. Not all of them LCK experience, of course, but SoaR has played in the LCK on Sonic Boom. You probably want to forget that with him back in 2015, 2016, and actually Catch was one of his teammates back then. Ryan has played around the world. I believe played in the LJL. Ruby was a trainee on a Freak of Freaks, Veritas in the EULCS, and Pure is a long-time LCK pro on Najin for many years alongside OQ. still, they walk up here, and could there be any punishment?
Well, they're gonna get on top of that top bench, but look at SoaR and Ruby into the background. The Hemo play finally comes through, but GuGer's gonna die, and so is Patch. They just straight up don't have enough money and not enough damage to hold off VSG in the onslaught.
Now looking for a payout, they were waiting for the late game. It ain't coming. VSG is forcing game number 5.
It's gonna happen. These two challenger teams trying so hard to keep the dream alive. As Jisu is gonna go down here, the Nexus will as well. We are gonna be going to that game 5 that you did mention. Nicely done by VSG, a fantastic performance to bring this one to a final game.
And how often does a team fight back from 2-1 down without even breaking into a sweat? This was a second gear game by VSG, and they just plowed over ES Sharks, who never got it together. We were not convinced by Jisu with the last pick. Vladimir into Aatrox just didn't scream needed or necessary or relevant, and that was the confirmation in the game. So yeah. I think you just end up going simple and saying VSG won game number 4, game number 5. They won't have blue side. So can we find a relevant red side draft? Otherwise, maybe it just ends up being VSG facing GuGer on Sunday.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in game 5. If I'm VSG, I wouldn't change a thing, whereas the Sharks, you mentioned it before, go back to blue side and try to go for that. I absolutely feel like the Akali would have been better. You were talking about the Vladimir in the top side. It takes too long for the Vlad to get into the game, especially when he got dunked early on in the lane, whereas I feel like the Akali in the mid game might have had a little bit more of a chance to turn the tide of things.
And the sample size of this tournament, Akali was winning the matchup into Aatrox more often than I would have expected. I would have thought it would take longer, but whether it was ganks, whether it's small sample size, the Vladimir is never going to win the Aatrox matchup early. It's too hard with the inbuilt healing reduction and then actually an Executioner's Calling bought to make it permanent. Will it be a permanent exit from the promotion tournament and a return to challengers? That is the fate that will go down, but amusingly, it's the same damn chart. Yeah. The blue side team just wins.
And it was almost a perfect game, too. It was only 3 kills to the side of the Sharks, and that's it. So, the nameplates, what do they even mean anymore? These two teams, seemingly more even than we thought.
And if we added turret plates, the overlay would be 9-0 in terms of turret plates, because there were no turret plates on the enemy side either. So, it's all about a game 5. We're going to come back, and one draft is the difference between sticking in the tournament being done so.
Now it's a best of 1. We started at 5, then 3, and now it all comes down to one more game. So make sure you guys are staying tuned to see who is going to go up against GuGer in that final game. Let's find out after the break.